Recording in progress, sharing screens. And of course, there it is, the QuickTime player. And we make the noise.
Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Welcome to Everyone Racers.
It's a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of limit champ
Or lucky track dog league you run.
SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate.
as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions,
Tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot,
hella sweet,
Or we're lucky enough,
Chrissy,
and Chrissy,
I give you just the tip.
we're sure you'll giggle a little.
and learn even less.
Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm mental.
And we're Everyone Racers. Welcome to a special edition Mark V VW GTI 4.
Mark
Ah,
4.
It's not a 4. It's a Mark 4. It's a Mark 4.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I guess it was in 2002.
We're correcting Chrissy on Volkswagens.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. It says 4 right here. I was just thinking about picturing them. Anyway, GTI edition of the show. It's episode 337. Volkswagen produced a small batch of the 25th anniversary GTIs called the GTI 337 edition in the United States. The 337 nomenclature comes from the early 70s Golf and GTI code name. Power comes from the courtesy of the VW 1.8 liter 180 horsepower turbo 4-cylinder, which is mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox. The 337 sports numerous performance upgrades, includes unique red brake calipers, a front chin spoiler, body-colored side skirts, a rear spoiler, a huge 18-inch BBS alloy wheel, shod with meaty 225/40 R18 Michelin tires, inside metal pedals, Recaro sport seats, and a 3-spoke leather wrapped steering wheel with red stitching around the package. The GTI 337 is available only in silver at $22,000 in 2002, which is $38,000 in 2024 dollars. And
Which is a little depressing that is 28 grand.
Well, you shouldn't have
38
spent that.
grand in 20.
Shouldn't have spent that at because it was still Mark IV. So yes, I probably still had the check engine lights on. Maybe not nearly as much as mine did, but probably did because Mark IVs usually ran that way. Anyway,
1.8T was not known for its lack of check engine lights in that era.
yes. I think
the
most
check engine light had a check engine light.
It might
Mhm.
have, and mine might have because it was on the whole time. So I'm not sure which check engine light it actually had on.
If you haven't checked
Anyway.
your engine, lady, how can you be sure it's really there?
I did check it often because I put coolant in it every couple hundred miles. So if not more than that. So I was opening the hood fairly often. Anyway, that's enough about VWs. What you working on? I know what Chris is working on too, so I'm going to ask Mental. What are you working on?
So I bought the that new Lincoln that I have last year at SEMA. Got one of their floor demo models, and I've been
A
working
welder
on
Lincoln, not a
Sorry.
town
I was
car.
like,
not a town
I'm
car.
sorry.
Just-
What
yes.
kind
Let's
of
clarify.
Lincoln?
and I
I just
finally
got that Lincoln. It's now in my yard, and now I have to work. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. That you
So
bought
I-
at SEMA. Who buys a Lincoln at SEMA?
I mean,
Okay,
this story
anyway.
could have gone an entirely different way.
and you know what? You
It's
guys
so
weren't the only people
early.
thinking that. There were people going, I thought Mental was getting rid of dumb projects.
Yeah,
But a
this,
Lincoln bought at SEMA, I don't know how dumb it would be. Well, it's going to be partially dumb, but yeah, let's
Bluetooth
I was like
drive
the
shaft.
floor model. Like it's
Yeah.
not like the Philly Auto Show. So like, what? Okay. Go ahead. Now that we've ruined your
Yes.
story, please tell us what you are working on.
So I was working on, I've gotten some scrap metal and I'm working on a project for some furniture for the garage. And the darn thing it's gotten to where it won't feed. Coming off the machine, it just kinks the wire right there. And I have tried all the tips. I have tried all the welding wire sizes. I've tried everything. I even swapped out the liner on the gun and it is still doing it. I am trying desperately not to get so angry that I hurl my new non-functional welder through a window. So that has been my weekend of we will be talking about the Champ Car race at Daytona. One of my friends that I've run Champ Car with Daytona is in town. So we went out and had dinner and a couple things last night. He stopped by my offices today. So Dustin, Fat Crack Racing, great team out there. He's going to be running the van with Zach at CMP. And then I have been trying to work out the travel plans. Astute listeners will remember last week when Chris said, if you're flying to Columbus, you might as well just stay there the week and drive over to Pittsburgh, because we're going to go to Pittsburgh in 2 weeks. And so looking at various airports in that vicinity, and then trying to figure out which one would be cheaper to rent and or Turo and travel back to get me back to Las Vegas on the 15th of April. And as it turns out, it's actually Philadelphia. So I will be leaving tomorrow, landing in Philadelphia just before midnight, renting an F-150 and driving to Columbus.
Oh, an F-150. Why?
Because it was cheap.
Oh my.
It was like $20 more than a Chevy Spark.
Wow.
So if you're arriving tomorrow, Wednesday night at midnight, would you like to stay here? It is on your way to Columbus, basically.
Yes, but by the time I got to you guys' house, it'd be 1 a.m. I'm just gonna
Fine, and open the door and don't let the cats out.
I appreciate it. I'm going to point it westward, and if I get too tired, I'll just do the cat nap in the F-150, which you can't do in a Chevy Spark. Or as Turo tried to charge me almost $1,000, a 2002 Mitsubishi Galant.
I think you
which,
should have
as
bought
we
the
were
car.
discussing before the show, you could buy a Mitsubishi Galant for $1,000, much less a Turo.
I think that would have been funnier and more of a story. Yeah, it's true. Not on the East Coast. You can't.
What car can you buy from someone outside Philadelphia Airport at midnight on a Wednesday?
Oh, what should you buy? What wasn't this last week's car our show?
Right.
I could have found you some
for a sketchy car that I could have bought outside of the Philadelphia airport that would get me to Columbus, Ohio.
Craigslist had plenty of No, that's not part of the game. We can find you a sketchy car. Now, is it going to make it there and back? Not sure, but
will it not be on fire?
Makes for a good story. We like good stories around here.
Yeah, I can only imagine the rust.
Oh, yeah. Anything that you can afford. Yes, that's correct.
So I'll be driving to Columbus. More on why I'm going to Columbus in just a few minutes. And then Monday noonish, I will be showing up as the proverbial annoying house guest at the CNC Mayhem Factory, where we will immediately begin work on an idea that Chris came up with, and I think is a fantastic theme for Pit Race. And I am so geeked.
And you can start it when you get here at noon, because we're still going to be at work. So have a good time.
Well, I have a truck, so I can pick up the materials on my way in.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Exciting.
Yeah. And if we get that done in time, I feel like I might be able to help you out with the first thing that you've been working on. If it's not involved anything precise, if it just involves like
we won't have any time for that.
Cleaning or sanding.
No time.
None.
None time
for that.
Yeah. Ain't nobody got no time for that.
No. I've been working on the MG, doing some wiring repairs and
fiddly work, as you say.
There's so much little fiddly work. Everything is custom and takes so long. Like the Lucas switches for where the wires go, and there's little screws in the back of the switches. Okay. They're Whitworth, of course, because 1960 British car. So, and some of them are missing. So I can't actually hook things up. So I have to find a British specialty hardware place to sell me some screws. The only ones that I can find are the right size approximately have these big cap heads on them. So then I have to cut them short by hand and file them down and then grind down the heads so the heads don't touch when they're both in the screws. This is the kind of fiddly work that is involved.
Which feels like how they made them in the first place.
Yeah.
Pretty
much. But I also got things like again fixing things that prior owners did, some of which is me, like routing wiring harnesses like actually into clips instead of just floating around. painting little bits and pieces, like cleaning and painting them up so they're not just rusty when everything else looks good. I put door seals on. I put a trunk seal in. Things like that are coming along. There's just so much little stupid work, and like I could have had the entire front suspension easily rebuilt in the time I've spent doing all this little fiddly work on things, but nope. This
Now
is
you
what it needs.
say that, but wouldn't the front suspension also be full of hard to find fiddly bits that only known supplier is a guy that owns a farm in Vermont?
Not as
and
many,
he-
because it's just an upper and lower unequal control arm setup with a sway bar, and it's got kingpins. Okay, kingpins are weird, but if you know how to deal with kingpins, it's not that bad. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, working on it and did some cooking.
Yay.
While Chris
Yeah.
was doing all of this, I spent the day in the garden. I managed to trim all of our front bushes. I got my side garden ready to go, did some stuff in the back, just a lot of work that I hadn't done in a little while. Probably I don't think I did much last year. It all comes down to like it's probably not the right. So if there's a gardener out there, they're probably yelling at me. Now's not the time to be doing pruning. But it is now when I see the parts before all the plants grow in. So yeah, so I just needed to prune my stuff. So, and then we had Easter dinner here, which was great, and had the whole fam over. It was a big party, and I had a whole day of making chocolates, and yeah. Now I'm doing extracurriculars. I've not only done stuff with the library, I have entered the world of Girl Scouts temporarily. So, I have a project that I'm helping with them with, and that is a time sensitive project. So just, if it's not one thing, it's another. All's well. Never a dull moment around here. And I feel like if you're watching, somebody behind your screen, I was going to say, if you see me, if you're watching us on YouTube, you just saw me screaming at the wall because somebody was in the sink, and Chris is holding Checo. So kitten life, they're driving us a little crazy at the moment. So if you see me on mute yelling I'm not just yelling at the plant that's over there. I'm yelling at a cat to get off.
My job to yell at nothing.
Right. I yell at something that just looks at you and says, "What?
I'm a cat.
What? What are you yelling at me before? I belong up here." Anyway, Hyundai is still one of the last holdout OEM making fun, sporty cars, particularly their N line. Matthew Guy at The Truth About Cars has the details of their latest venture, the Ioniq 5N EN1 Cup car and its corresponding single make race series. Using the power electronic system as the production EV Iconic, the EN1 weighs a mere 4,334 pounds, which is nearly 500 pounds less than a pedestrian version of the Ioniq 5N. Both the N and the race make up 641 horsepower. It comes with all of the aero mods, required safety equipment, and the active sound and N E-Shift to provide an oral sensation. What oral? Not an oral. Sensation. An oral sensation that will make your car easier to wheel.
All right, for the record, I spelled it correctly.
I didn't say it right. It's my fault. But mine's funnier. The new EN1 classes to be introduced this year will operate under open regulations so that terms can compete with various tire products without being restricted to a single manufacturer. Link in our show notes. It probably says oral, not
The opening quote from Brandon McClear at Haggerty tells the story. Quote, "On Friday nights, families all across Canada and the US gathered in front of the television set to see what scrapes everyone's favorite gadget building action star was going to get into this week. MacGyver! He was of the feathered mullet, selection of vest, and ever-present Swiss Army knife." Now, MacGyver was portrayed by Richard Dean Anderson, and Richard Dean was also a racer under the very slight alias of Rick Anderson. He was wheeling a third-gen Camaro, competed in the Players Limited GM Motorsports Series, which featured Camaros and Firebirds throwing down in race fields up or as big as 70 cars. The F-bodies were road legal, road registered, factory supported machines with standard race upgrades for track use. It even worked its way into one of the episodes of MacGyver, Collision Course, which aired in December of 1998 and featured our intrepid hero stepping into a Firebird after some nasty bad guys sabotaged an old friend who was supposed to drive. Link to the article in our show notes. And yes, a link to the episode of MacGyver is also in our show notes.
I can't hear this without thinking about the meme thing out there showing old fat MacGyver with his broken Audi. And saying like, if MacGyver can't fix his Audi, he's old and fat. Doesn't that make you feel old? Yes.
The article talked about during one of his post-race interviews, he said he was having some trouble with the cars. He's like, and he even said, I wonder if MacGyver could have fixed this one. So he's got a sense of humor about it.
Good. Well, our readers are there are a lot of things you can say about our readers, but
our
listeners,
listeners even.
Yeah, they're generally an internet savvy group of folks. And you may have caught Volkswagen's latest terrible online joke for April Fool's Day, but if you didn't, Matt Hardigree at the Autopian can sum it up in their latest poorly attempted execute at being funny. Right. In 21, they spent weeks telling everyone how they would modify their name to Volkswagen in honor of their upcoming EV lineup. This latest isn't that far off. They began hinting at another iteration of their Harlequin cars, implementing that there would actually be an electroluminescent multicolor VW ID4. That actually could be cool. But when they revealed the punchline on Monday, it landed like a lead balloon. The British car site Car Throttle initially fell for it. In VW's defense, the press release did specifically say, quote, the limited edition ID3 Harlequin is available from 1 April. Designs can be viewed in Volkswagen's online configurator using the code JEST1. Yep, link in the show notes. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
April Fools for corporations. It's like one giant open mic night, and everyone's stepping up and trying to do it, even though they don't have any business doing it.
Yeah,
especially Volkswagen. Germans don't do funny. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
No.
and some of it, like you never know the time of the market that you're like. Sometimes it may. Chris, are you okay?
He's looking at a cat that is
Uh-huh.
chewing through wires. My guess.
Okay. Do you want me to continue? Oh, they just stole something. I saw her run away with it. Yeah, it's trash. I know. I saw her run away with it.
Oh, all right. So our new bingo card definitely has to have CNC's cats disrupt the show. That's the new dogs barking.
I think you can have multiple opportunities for that at the current stage of our household. Yes. Anyway.
Right. Well, hey.
Anyway,
you know what's better than chasing your cats around to get trash away from them is going racing with racing junk. Here is a 96 Firebird. It's only $6,500, but it's got the 3.8 liter V6, which is actually the better motor and more reliable, and you'll have a better time with it.
For endurance racing, 100%. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And it'll put you nicely in class B, which, for the most part, unless you're incredibly hopeless, but probably B.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it comes with a lot of spares, an adjustable seat. It's got Trans Am brakes and radiator and 2 sets of Corvette wheels and tires, adjustable panhard bar, 17-gallon fuel cell, new posi diff, radio wiring, fire suppression system, 3 Hunsikers even, another engine, another transmission, sets of brakes, radiators, totes of spares.
What?
I mean, this is ready to go.
Wow.
Hey, rent a trailer. Be ready to rock this one at Gingerman this summer. This is only $6,500. And where is it, Mental?
It is in Michigan. That's why I threw it up there. It's in Southfield, Michigan.
And these people, they did it right. Mental, tell them how they did it so well.
Because they went and got the Real Pro membership, which is why there are so many great pictures on this ad. And honestly, for $6,500, you are getting a lot of car. That is impressive. So that would be a very fun car. And there's room to grow. If you want to be dumb enough to go LS and spend your Saturday night swapping an LS like we always do with Sorry for Party, you're fantastic.
Or
So,
just
yeah,
stick with that V6 and
And then you have
Go.
another one when you blow that one up. So there's that.
totally. Absolutely.
it's worked out well for
All right.
Towley.
Oh, yeah. All right. So they got a bunch of great bunch of great picks. That's a great ad. It's a cool car. I think it's a bargain at that price with everything that you're getting. And with all the hella sweet money you're saving getting your Racing Junk Pro membership using code POD23, you are good to go on that one. So somebody go buy that car. It's awesome.
Okay. Upcoming races.
Champ Car this weekend, they are at Daytona for the 14 hour. We pick on Champ Car because, well, we like to pick on Champ Car. It's fun.
Correct.
If you were considering going to another series, the Daytona race is the one because it is the exact same road course they run for the 24, the Rolex. It is awesome. You will drive at Daytona under the lights. They have 121 cars because everyone wants to go to that one.
What?
Only 31 of those are BMWs. That's
Boring.
As
that's
a ratio,
20%.
it's not tragic. Okay.
Yeah, it's 20%. 29 of them are Miatas, which
Okay.
will be not as much fun under the lights in the banking coming out of turn 2.
So half the field is a
Yeah.
BMW or a Miata.
Yep. Pretty much.
Four Hondas, including my buddy Dustin with Fat Crack Racing. They have got the Accord down there, and they are going down there and looking to throw down. They're going to do really, really well if that thing holds together. 8 Porsches, a Crown Vic, which will be awesome on that banking. Dodge Dakota, Ford Contour, Altima. That Altima is sinisterly fast.
Oh, okay. Well, I just looked at
yes.
the list. So
Oh yeah. And no, Nissan should buy that Altima and figure out how to make their Altimas less tragic because that thing is quick. A J30, another LTD. I believe that's the one we've seen at CMP, the aircraft carrier. 2000 Golf, which, as previously mentioned, will have a check engine light on.
it has to, because I don't think unless they unplugged it, which is possible as well. So AER is at Pit Race this weekend, which there is an 80% chance of snow on Friday. Except for that. Well, I guess Mitch will already be over the line by then, but you probably should check the weather when you're driving that way.
Another reason I'm glad I didn't rent that Chevy Spark.
Probably, yes. So 70% or 80% chance of snow on Friday, and then it should be dry and chilly for the rest of the weekend. 35 cars. 24 of them are BMWs.
That's so boring.
3 Miatas, 4 Hondas, 3 Porsches, 2 Integras, and that's it. That's all of the cars. I went through and I was like, so after I finished with Porsches, I was like, all right, what else is there? Oh, just those
So
Integras.
There's almost as much chance of a car being a BMW as of snow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was deeply impressed by these.
I'm impressed that the entirety of their entry list is our cars that we always highlight.
Pretty much. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we load the Integras into the Hondas, but I just added them onto the end because I was like, well, what else am I going to go through here? What else is interesting? Oh, wait, there are only 2 cars left. And if that math is right, it's very possible that might be me. But pretty much there was nothing else. So, yeah, it's so boring. And 35 cars at Pit, you're going to be like, when you go, down the hill, you're like, oh, good. I can see somebody like over there. That's great.
That's not even enough cars to have the snow tracks to follow when you're driving behind them on the track.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting for them.
I think it's going to be more like a 5-year-old soccer game. As if we have the 5-year-olds in the soccer game, and there's just like this group of the kids running around the ball, kicking each other in the shins. I think that's what this is going to be like, is that you're going to get that group of the cars in the fast, and they're all going to be racing each other, and then
nope. And then if you're that guy, it's the worst.
And then like
you did that once, and I was
together,
like, this is so dumb. Yeah, so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a shame.
Anyway. I've had good
Okay.
times at AR races, but I don't think,
35 cars in the snow.
Yeah, I think that's the part that's not going to be fun. It's just that it's like, do a track day or
60 cars? Fun time. That's
or
wonderful.
fun time. And then, and we know that it is 40% cold, but there's no way it's 80% party.
Oh,
It's like
no,
10 it's like 10%
it's no,
2% party.
none.
party.
I
They're
know.
saving all the party for the next
There's some people there that are
weekend.
good at sucking all of the air out of a room. Anyway,
Oh,
well,
well,
that
we're
goes on
talking
to-
about upcoming races, and we missed a couple of recent results. Chrissy,
Yes, we did. Oh, what? It's not my turn.
I just want you to
but
yell.
usually you
Oh,
say
what
the
I was like, what?
Lemons is at NOLA. Winner on IOE was Schadenfreude Racing. Oh, and this is a great car. This is
What?
it's a E21 BMW that has a Mercedes diesel and a Nissan transmission and a Ford rear end and various Volvo parts. And those guys are really nice too. So I'm glad they picked that up.
I met them years ago when they were just running that E24 and it blew up, and they were just mad at it and they were tired of it blowing up. And they said, yeah, we're thinking about throwing a Mercedes diesel in there. And I'm like, oh, totally do that, because you will be C-Class forever. And they did and have been. I have the gauge cluster. They gave it to me as a bribe the next year for the original gauge cluster for that car. And you're right, they could not be nicer despite clearly making horrible decisions. That's a great car.
Nice people. That's great. HMG Spin It to Win It in their MR2. That's another nice group of people right there. That's great. Horrifics Bad Backs in a Jaguar XJS. And I think nothing else needs to be said about that, but that's good. I got screwed Death Wheel Motorsports in a Mazda B2000. Judge's Choice Low Speed High Drag in a Ford Focus.
That's the group of cancer survivors. That's a
Okay.
great team.
Great. Org Choice Scuderia Rugaro in a Mazda Miata. Got smoked by a stock Chevy Volt that had to go to the Walmart to charge. Went to the Stealth Bummer in an RX-8 EV. Team Class C Team Swifty in a Datsun 280ZX. Class B Projectile Dysfunction Racing in a Mazda MX-3, which is one of like 5 left in the world. And overall, Class A not done yet in a boring BMW.
All right. Lemons Rally also happened. We mentioned that from the 2024 Route 66. It's crap from LA, where they drove from LA to Oklahoma. First on points was the Micro Machine Suzuki Alto Works. That was great. They had the little tiny thing with the tentacle porn on it. Second on points, Team XC90 kids in a Ford Mustang convertible, and it says non-licensed, generic injection molded doll, and possibly firm version edition. Those are
film version. Okay.
Oh, all right. Yeah, film version. Because I did notice in all of their pictures there, Barbie would not bend her knees. All of her leg movements were stiff-legged. They've done a bunch of rallies, and it's a brother and sister, and then they'll bring one of their friends or one of their significant others. They are always fun. Third on points was One's Fast, One's Furious, and the Crown Victoria. Your random acts of stupidity was Viva La Volva and a Subaru Brat / Ford Crown Hick / mouth tattoo.
Oh, that's a lot.
I saw the Brat. I didn't see anything else. Judge's Choice. Big surprise. Gentleman Dave. Sonny the Suburban, alien recovery vehicle, Chevy Suburban. I don't think
so
he made
much.
I don't think he made it to any hotels. He got stuck, spent all night digging himself out, had no.
I mean, but I'm pretty sure that was his fault alone. So I'm
100% his fault, which he readily
like
admits.
high centered, and he's just like, now I'm stuck.
And
It
he
was
couldn't
entertaining to
tell
watch.
anybody where he was, and he only had like a few bars on his phone.
I'm pretty sure he slept in his car the whole time.
Well, it's a
Oh, yeah.
Suburban, so you can.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think it was also, as you can imagine, the Suburban was full of his stuff, well organized and cleaned every night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and
No, that's not
you
how
can
that went.
spread the stuff around as a nice pile and make a nest.
I'm pretty sure that happened. You missed the
Yep.
pictures on Facebook, but I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that's
but
how it
and
went
it-
down.
and
I can imagine.
Mhm.
And folks, you should check out Caddy Wrecker on IG.
Oh,
He's
a lot.
even when he's not rallying, he's always fun, and he's also like done all of the rallies and always has something. And organizer's choice was Hangar 13 Racing. That's Tom and Jam, and they brought their kids.
Oh, I didn't
on that-
realize.
Excellent.
Yeah, on that Chevy
Oh,
Celebrity
that's
wagon,
great.
which is now for sale. And
Oh, I'm not
it
surprised.
is, aside from the clear coat, it is mint. And
Is it a
you can go-
Eurosport?
No, it's just that
No,
metallic
no,
blue
no.
with the hubcaps, but
Yeah.
it's got the velour bench interior, and they like, Tom, Jan, their kids, they were all dressed up in 80s. Their youngest was rocking a no kidding cassette Walkman. They leaned into it. It was fantastic.
That's great.
They're
They're great people too.
Yeah.
they are. And if you're looking for just a sweet celebrity wagon that, knowing Tom and Jan, is probably mechanically flawless, check out, go to Tom's Facebook page. I think he posted it in a couple of the other forums, or get a hold of us. We'll point you at Tom, because that thing's awesome.
That's great that they won. I didn't realize missed that one.
Yeah.
All right. We're at all the listener feedback time. On the YouTube's responding to our shopping episode, Tim B said, if you're going to rally the century, you have to move all car controls to the rear seat and put a chauffeur mannequin in the front seat. Mirror tint the rear windows, step out of the back door in style.
Yes.
It's probably fine said, that dirt track car that, quote, promotes education, end quote, never has there been a more ringing endorsement of the public school system.
I want to be offended, but he's right. Michael K said, so very curious the data that my 1995 Toyota Previa is sharing with the world.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure that if it could talk to the world around it, the van would beg for mercy to any worldwide database that would listen something slow car fast. I'm going to offer a counterpoint and say that any Previa in your employ is living its best life, because all the other Previas were doomed. They went to college and never came back. And at least your Previa is like, yeah, suck it, Subaru WRX. Sorry. I posted a pic of me making sparks in my driveway. I was actually literally out there grinding off some of the clips on my 914. And I said, this would make an epic picture. Went and got my tripod, set up my phone. It was right at sunset. And I even titled it Shameless Posed Pic for the likes, and it worked. Tim Burr asked me if I was cutting up another one for the trash bin. No, this is the Porsche that I'm actually keeping. It's got a really interesting provenance and history, but I am trying to reduce it to this minimalist style car that will have only what it needs to be a car. And so the front is going to go back on with hood pins. I've got rid of the, I probably threw out 20 pounds. I don't know why the hinges had to be so heavy on that car. And so I was pulling the brackets and all this stuff, and that's what I was grinding out with my die grinder.
So
Sounds like a
David,
great idea. So you want to put something in the trunk. Damn
Yeah.
it, now I need a
Yeah.
friend. Yeah.
Or take one of the
Oh.
other cars. How about that? David
Yeah.
Eckel said, cover your windshield. And then there was this back and forth that I thought was hilarious. Jeremy M said, I thought the sparks were coming from the bottom when stuff falls off. And then Corey Dickman says, no, it's because the bottom is covered with oil. Then Jeremy says, oh, you're right. You got me there. I just spent the last hour the other day degreasing the bottom of my car around the rear axle area, oil, trans fluid, and sand. Ugh. Sounds like
Sand is
terrible.
the worst when it gets into that oil, because
Well,
it just
yeah.
doesn't want to come out of anything.
Oh.
Oof. Yeah.
Ugh.
You know who
never grinds. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You might as well go with that. Go on with all of them. Go ahead.
You go for it, Chris.
You know who never grinds off their trunk hinges?
Pretty much.
I was going to say, you never who stages a spark picture for the likes on the Insta.
Also true.
That would be
Yes.
Chrissy's mom.
I know.
And I will, if she, she does listen, I will shamelessly say that I am eagerly looking forward to Pit Race, because it has been at least a month and a half since I've had any of Chrissy's mom's cookies.
You'll have some. She's ready. Okay.
Excellent. All right. Years ago, I want to say 2.5 years ago, we had the Todd from WRL, World Racing League, on the show to talk about WRL, and they had some directions and things that they were changing. We don't cover WRL anymore, not because it's not cool and not because, but it is not an amateur series. It is not Champ. It is not Lemons. It is not Lucky Dog. This is they've got major sponsors. They've got pro drivers. They've got a lot of good stuff. And if you have an opportunity to go, you should check it out. As it mentioned, I have an opportunity. So we are going to talk about the World Racing League, Mid Ohio. We'll do I reached out to my friend Jack Baruth, who literally just bought a farm that backs up to Mid Ohio, and he has got thousands of laps there. And I said, hey, you got some turn by turn tips. And he came back and said, any knowledge that I had about that track went away on 1 November of last year because the track underwent a complete repave.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then. So tell us more about what your race is going to be, who you're racing with, what's the team, what's the car, what's the plans, like what's
All
what's
right.
going.
What's the haps? What's
Yeah.
going on? So some years ago, I did the 25 Hours of Thunderhill 2019 with Mark Francis Racing and the Anderson brothers, who owned Palomar Solar, were our fueling guys. And they're both vintage cars. They've got a really nice old BMW 2002. They've got a really hella sweet. They've got a couple of really good Datsun Roadsters, but they got bit by the bug. And the next year they showed up with this. Now, this is now the backup car, the number 25. So running
What is it?
It is a
For those not
BMW
watching.
spec E36. It was built to NASA ST5 specs. It's got a S52 B32 with a aftermarket tune. It's got MCS non-reservoir adjustable coilovers, the Beamer World control arms front and rear, giant calipers, Will Woods. It's running 17-inch tires. It is built to the limits of the series. It's got a giant Wang, a Big Duck E36 body kit. And then after running this one for a year, they also had their number one car. As they credit Mark Francis Racing with getting them started in this, they wanted to get the band back together. So they reached out to Carl Nelson, who owns La Jolla Independent BMW in San Diego and was running what is for a while was the fastest vintage BMW in the US, and knows him and his daughter both know just so much about BMWs. And a couple of the other drivers of Mark Francis Racing had said, hey, if you guys want to come out to Mid Ohio, come on out. Fuel, the tires are courtesy of our sponsor, Toyo Tires. Come on out. We're going to throw you in the car and you guys just go and race. And
Okay.
well, you're
Great.
dumb if you don't take that opportunity, right?
Yes. Never mind. We talk about expectations. Go ahead. Great. What are their expectations? That's my biggest question. Your expectations, their expectations, are they going for winning?
So right now they are running first place. This is the national championship race for last year. And Palomar Solar they are in first place by 7 points in the GP1 class. So, let me double check that one. I'm sorry, by 9 points over their nearest competitor. They've had 3 podiums this year, first and a second. And I am more than a little intimidated. This is going to be scary as shit. It's possibly the fastest race car I've ever driven. And it's going to be it's the slowest class or one of the slowest classes on the field. So I'm going to be out there duking it out with all kinds of like serious pros and BMW built factory race cars and Cayman GTSs that are never street legal and Audi R8s and all of this. So, yeah, intimidated is probably a good word.
When you signed on, was their expectation that you are going to win? Like, are they setting like, well, we're a winning team and our goal is to win. So
No,
Mental, join us because you're a winner too. I just want to make sure like how this invite sounds
No.
like, hey, come and have fun with us.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And it's one of those things. So, I have to go out there, not embarrass myself, not embarrass.
Don't wad up the car.
Don't wad up the car. Don't wad up anybody else's car. Don't embarrass the
Yes.
Anderson brothers.
Yes.
I need to move quick enough not to be, God bless it. Who the hell's this idiot in that car? And at the same time, recognize that I am driving someone else's very hard earned reputation, and they've got a reputation for being good racers. They're for being a good team, for being the kind of folks that people want to hang out with. So I also can't be a dick. So
Good
yeah,
plan.
I'm going to spend the whole weekend trying to learn as much as I can and just not insert foot into
Yeah.
orifice, not step on my wiener.
Good plan.
Yep.
When's the last time you were at Mid Ohio?
2016.
Which means you know nothing because it sounds like it's different. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
You know which direction the corners go.
Yes,
Kinda,
I could tell you
'cause
that
that
the
was
course
8
was
years
built.
ago.
Yeah, I could tell you the course was built in 1962. Originally it was 16
Okay.
corners and now it's 14 corners. For those who are listening to this that are lemon centric, what you need to know about Mid Ohio is this was where a young Dale fell in love with the world of auto racing. He was parking cars there as a young lad, told the owner of the track he couldn't park someplace, and the owner said, "I like that guy." And before he knew it, he was working control, and he went to the Great Lakes or the Lake Erie Communications Flagging School, and the rest, as they say, is
Huh.
history.
I did not know that.
I can see that. They'll say, "No, you can't park there."
But I don't care, buddy. You can't park
It's
there.
the rules. Good for him. Well, let's learn more
Yes.
about WRL. Like we've gone look through and learned more about what their classing is, what the races and the rules and the tech, all the things that we kind of want to know.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we'd share because we started to learn about it.
Yeah, because especially since we just think it's high dollars and LMP2 cars and Porsches that are whatever, and it feels extra daunting. But so I dove into the classing section, so I'll start there. On the top of the page says WRL's classing aims to equalize vehicle performance to let the drivers and teams do the talking. Okay, so
Yeah.
I know I just had to add that because it was
Corporate
just
wanker talk.
right. It was in big letters. It took up my whole screen before it let me scroll down. Okay. We're going to start with the GP class. General production classes are governed by both their power to weight ratio as well as a modifier table that balances both the performance gains with certain components as well as taking cost into account. All GP cars must be mass produced and available for sale in North America. So
And I think
if
that's what
somebody,
we're going to focus on primarily because that's the kind of normal cars that people listen to the
correct.
show
Yep.
have,
Absolutely. Right.
not
So
the ridiculous things.
So I have, if somebody wants to, I thought it was linked in here. Isn't? Yeah, it's linked in there. So if somebody wants to open that, you're welcome to scroll through that GP modifier spreadsheet. It's a 4-page document. It has questions like on the first page it says your peak dyno horsepower, ballast, fuel capacity, and then there's 3 pages of modifiers that you get points for or points against, I guess. Aero, there's a couple options for aero, a couple of options for brakes, a couple options for suspension, drive chain, and differential. So if you have these certain things, you'll either get points that are taken away from you. I don't know which way the math goes, but basically this is either adding or subtracting to you being a faster
it's
car.
all power to weight based.
Mhm.
So these things basically change it. So if your power to weight ratio was 12-1, but you have here we go, an aftermarket sequential gearbox, that's a minus 0.6. So then you would have a power to weight ratio of 11.4 equivalent.
Thank you. This is very helpful. And
Yes.
this actually matters a whole lot because going into the GP cars, there's GP1, GP2, and GP3. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So GP1 cars represent fastest of the GP classes. They're governed by the power weight ratio of 10.5 to 0 to 12.799 to 1. I guess I cut that off.
Right. So the one that I'm scheduled to drive, actually, they're both exactly the same. They have 196 horsepower and they have 2,751 pounds.
But they have a lot of these other modifiers for the aero, the brakes, the suspension stuff. So even though, I mean, their raw power to weight ratio, you said it was 197 into 2,700 ish pounds, right? That's 2,700.
Yeah.
Other way is 13.7 to 1. So they have used so many modifiers,
right,
to get from what would be a mid-pack GP2 power weight ratio to a pointy end GP1 ratio.
Okay, so GP1 examples. So on their website, they give all kinds of examples of their a 350Z, a C5 Corvette, E36, or E46 M3. Cayman were the ones that they listed, the cars that you would know what they are. Okay, that's GP1. GP2 are the great balance of speed and affordability. At their low weight means great handling. GP2 has the power to weight limit of 12.8 to 1 to 15.099 to 1. Those examples are a Mustang V6, a Boxster Lexus SC300, and an E36 is what they have listed there. And the GP3 cars are the highest end of the power scale, and they have the power to weight
Power to
limit.
weight scale different. They're the low end
Scale.
power.
Low. Yes.
Yeah.
Low end
These
power.
are
Power
the
to weight
slowest cars.
limit. Yes, correct. 15.1 to 1 or to 18.0 to 1. These are Miatas, Boxsters, and 944s.
Yeah. The last time I raced a WRL race was at MSR Houston. And I believe it was 2015 with Rocksteady Racing and Todd Carver. He listens to the show on occasion and sends us advice. And it was in his Miata, and we were running that class. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think we podiumed in GP3. But again, this was 9 years ago, and it was a different series.
And race cars were different then, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know about I don't know everybody, but we were slower then. Anyway, okay, so is that enough on GP3 cars? GP cars? Yes.
Sure.
Okay, GT
Well,
cars.
and of course, we'll have a link to all this in the show notes. If you're fascinated by WRL,
just go to the page because it's
we'll
just
put you on
most
their
of what
page.
information just is right from it. But I wanted to digest it and take some stuff out. So GT cars are the fastest in WRL. There is no modifier table. They have a very limited rule book, and you have to ask to be in this category. So it says if you're interested, you should just write somebody at WRL is what the actual answer is. Okay, the Grand Touring Open represents the lowest power class in WRL, which is the fastest. GTO is governed by power to weight ratio window of 18.0 to 1 to 9.0 to 1. These examples are a V8 or V6 swapped MX-5, a E46 M3, a 981, 987 Cayman S, 996 Porsche 911, late model stock cars. And the Grand Touring Under, the GTU, are cars that are similar to GTO cars, but weigh less than 2,400 pounds. They are running at they're fast. They whatever. There's only 3 of them running this weekend. With it at the race that you're going to. They're all by the same person. They're all the same cars. They all just look different. They all have
what are they? I should probably know this, but I've been
they're like the LMP cars, like the funky
the Lola, whatever that the one that NASA had.
Yes, the NPO one. Mini prototypes.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, the ones that don't look like cars. They look like
stupid fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's only 3. I already looked because we pulled up the ones for your race, and yes, they're fast, and there's only
they come
3
up to
of
about
them.
the door handles on the Beamer.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for fun, I put our Civic in through the calculations because I know all the numbers on it, where I don't know the weight or the horsepower of the Mazda. But I do know to the Civic. So Civic's peak dyno horsepower, the time I had it dynoed, was 205 at the wheels, and its competition weight and they define that as full fuel, no driver, no water in the cool suit box, but otherwise as raced. And it's about 2150 for the Civic. So, okay, that puts us at, if we do the math at it, we are outside of the GP1 class even if we do that. So 2150 divided by 205 is 10.487. So then we have to do some modifiers because the car has a simple rear spoiler. That's a minus 0.1. So now we're at 10.387. And it has single adjustable shocks, which is a 0.2 modifier. So now we're 0.187 again, except it's front drive. So it gets a +2. So we're back to 0.387. So the Civic as it sits would be too high or too fast of a power to weight ratio to be in GP1. And
but
it
can
would
you
need
put ballast in?
Yes, you
that's
can,
what you
absolutely can put ballast. So I'd have to ballast it up to get there. But I don't think the Civic is as fast as these other cars that they're saying are in GP1 by the
Well,
looks of it.
and you also built the Civic to run on 200 tread wear, and all of these
Which
cars.
No, not anymore, my friend. Not anymore. As of April 1, all GP category cars must run Continental tires, which means
Oh, I
either the
saw
Extreme
that.
Contact Force, which is a 200 tread wear, or in the rain they run the Extreme Contact Sport 02, which is a 340 tread wear.
Hmm.
So they all have to run 200 tread wear tires as of April 1st. So if your friends are planning on running their Toyota RRs, not so much.
Not so much.
It's a little too late.
All right. Well, no, and they'll have the suspension settings up for those, no doubt,
Yeah.
because they've run the car in NASA and they've done well. Oh, well, that is even more interesting.
Hmm.
This is myriad of reasons why I love you guys and I love doing this show. You're teaching me about the thing that I'm going to be doing this weekend. This is awesome.
Right?
Thank you.
I just did some research.
So with that, then, if you got yourself a set of those Continental Extreme Contact Forces and you threw a little ballast in there, where could you race the Civic?
Well, in general, WRL has 10 races on the calendar in 2024. Tracks are all over the country, but I noted that they have Coda and Barber, Mid Ohio, Watkins Glen, Sebring, Road America, Road Atlanta, among some others.
That's great. Great.
They're overall February to December. They take January off, and the races are every 3 to 6 weeks, from what I could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly every month, but occasionally they have one that goes a little longer or one a little shorter. They do limit the number of cars on track based on the length of the track. So, for example, Road America, which is enormous, can have 70 cars as a max. Mid Ohio, which is medium size, has a max of 55. But this race that you're going to has 47 entries. So, schedule is fairly reasonable. Thursday is load in and tech and registration. So, they really seem to want everybody there Thursday. Friday, you have to be there.
I was told to be there Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. Friday, you have to be there because there's 4 hours of testing that's included in the race fees. And I think they, depending on your experience, you may have to go do some testing. They may want to see that. But you can buy another 4 hours of HPD in the afternoon on Friday. We'll talk about that when we get to prices. Saturday is a 8-hour endurance race that ends at 5. Sunday is a separate 7-hour endurance race that ends at 3. They are not combined over the weekend. They are 2 separate races.
Mm-hmm. One thing that Jack did say that undoubtedly, no matter how many times you pave it, the end of the long straightaway, brake earlier than you think you should, especially if it's going to rain, because the track falls away. It is downhill and to the right. Care to guess what the weather prediction is right now for Friday?
Rain.
Yes.
Yep.
Rain that will become snow when it gets
right.
to
I was going to
Pittsburgh.
say it's probably pretty cold over there. I was actually just looking in where in the world is Mid Ohio.
It is just outside of it's
it's around the middle of Ohio.
Lexington.
It's like it's literally in the middle of Ohio. No,
Yeah,
I just didn't know. Like
about an hour outside of Columbus.
That's what it looks like northeast of Columbus.
One of the times that I was running that race, we were driving there earlier in the morning. It was actually an AR race, and I remember in the car somebody had a press loaner, and we were coming over a hill, and the Volvo, early safety features did not detect the Amish buggy that was in front of me.
Cool.
So yes, I had to take some evasive maneuvers,
yes.
and I was just praying that I didn't spook the poor guy's horse. Because it's rolling hills country, and there's no street lights, there's nothing, it's just 2 lane and crested a hill. And why is there a triangle? Oh God,
you better hope that it's not where the snow is in Pittsburgh. It might be close enough that you might still be getting some snow, because it's not that far away. We
might get a little snow.
For those who are out there, stick around on Monday till the afternoon if you want to see the full solar eclipse, because that is a totality area actually right there where they will be.
Damn it. I already agreed to be at your house.
So
okay. You can stay for the eclipse.
We have all day.
Yep.
We have all day. It's fine.
So, all right. I perused the rule book a bit, and I'm going to give you kind of my quick overview of what I saw. The rule book was 20 pages, so it's not tragic. some things to note that I saw that struck my interest. There's a Friday night drivers meeting that's mandatory. They've got rules on kind of different contact types you can have, whether it was unavoidable or incidental or avoidable, and what the penalties are for those kind of things. And it's everything from a don't do that to getting kicked out. There are overtaking rules about when to give room and safe passing. Like, you have a right to be there. If you get your front axle line to the center of the driver's door, then that's okay. You're there. But then they have all kinds of stuff where they're saying, like, be patient. Endurance racing is about patience. Don't, as a faster car, you're the one who has to make the safe, clean pass, and don't dive bomb people right into the apex. That slows you both down. Like they can't say all these things a lot. Yes, Chrissy.
Isn't this rule book just for legal people? Shouldn't
I
they
don't know.
probably
I'm
have
trying to
rule
see
book?
how this compares to Metal's experience when he's there.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Yes, because
That's
I
why
feel
I'm
like
talking it through.
when you
They
have all
they
these things
say
in
it
a
a
rule
lot.
book.
They say it like they have a whole section even on the website, driver expectations, and it basically says, be respectful, be patient.
Okay.
It basically says don't be a dick, and which is nice, and no contact. But
It's
who
lovely.
knows? I've heard those kind of rules before and seen them not enforced at all, and
Right.
the results that happen. Anyway, there are 3-hour maximum driver stints.
How do you
But I
know?
don't know if they didn't well, I think it's because each driver has an individual ID puck
Oh,
on
They
their helmet.
do.
I think it's
They
like
put them on your
RFID
helmet and
things.
they scan you when you get in the car. I
got it.
do
Got it.
remember that.
Okay.
Yep.
So if
I
you're
didn't
watching on one of the race things, you'll know when I'm in the car.
All right.
Now I looked at the pit stuff. I didn't see anything about pit times, but I may have missed it. I didn't see there any minimum times there, but they have a lot of other rules. Like up to 5 people over the wall at a time.
NASA
No more,
standard. Mhm.
right? Only one fuel jug over the wall at a time. So you can't like have
Interesting.
a second one staged there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's 6-gallon maximum.
So they know
Here's
about the Hunsaker cheat.
Yep, exactly. Now, I thought this was great. People who are on the safe side of the wall, not the outside, if they're close to the edge and involved or at all close to the edge, they still have to be in fire gear, which I think is
That
great
is,
because I remember a couple years ago, AER had people at Summit Point, and you've got people 4 feet away from fueling, just eating a
or like
sandwich in shorts.
yeah, or
Right?
handing jugs over like as
Yeah.
part of this.
Well, like, well, we're
part,
on the side of the wall, like they're pulling
yeah.
that crap
No, but you're
instead of
like, but
actually
if
thinking
the
about
fire
safety.
is going to just go up and over the berm there,
Right.
so
The
you're
fire can't come past the wall because the rule says the fire can't come
Right.
past
it's
the
going to
wall.
The
stop
fire's
there.
like,
But
oh no.
these
Right,
are
yeah.
FIA skinny shorts, so whatever.
Yeah.
These flip flops are SFI. See the tag.
Ah.
So I was happy to see that if you're close and part to participate, you should still be suited up because that's good safety there. There is limited work allowed on the car during actual fueling. Like of the 5 people, someone can be cleaning the windshield and torquing lug nuts and putting ice in the cool box while fueling is happening. There are tire changes in hot pits are okay, but there's rules about limited tool. Like you get 1 impact gun, it has to be a manual jack, and you can only have a maximum of 5 tires over the wall, including the 4 on the car, and no more than 2 wheels in the air at any time, and things
So
like
they're
that.
trying to
So
limit it. They're like, just
like,
don't do
yeah,
it. But
but someone's
guess
got to
if you-
police all that, which I guess when you
Uh-huh.
only have 40, 50 cars, it's not as
Right.
hard to police. For
Well, and I
example,
think if it's anything like the previous events, you have your own assigned pit wall space.
probably because
On the
again, only 40,
video-
50 cars. You're
Right.
you're
Mhm.
And
sitting
it did
there.
look like there were marshals. So I was watching. Oh, I'll get to that later. I was watching some video from the barber race that they already had, and it looks like they all have their pit rows. They all have their little tents up. But it did look like there were plenty of people of policing. So there were marshals on the hot part of the track in the pit lane. So only so far, like I'm sure they only have, here's the 4 people you need to watch. So I'm sure if you're watching the same 4 people, 4 groups of people, you probably can pick out who's an offender and who you yell at once or twice or multiple times.
Well, we've all donned the judge's robe, and you start identifying the problem children pretty early on.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And with
Yeah.
only that many cars,
And
like
they're
you
usually
said.
the ones that then argue with you about it. Yeah. All right. Penalties. They do have penalties for contact, for pass under yellow. pit speeding and missing a black flag. And I actually like their missing a black flag penalty. The number of times you go around after you've been black flagged is the number of lap penalty you get. So if you miss the black flag 10 times, you get 10 laps worth of penalty. I think that is great.
Huh.
Well, they're serious. Like,
Wow.
don't miss your black flag penalty. They don't seem to care at all about putting wheels off, 2-4 off. There's no mention about it. As long as you're not cutting the course to gain an advantage, and then it's a problem. So being out of control and putting 4 off, cool. Cameras and radios are required in every car. After the end of the race, the podium cars have to go to impound for parc fermé, just to make sure they're not cheaty. Car prep, all the safety stuff. It's basically all the normal endurance race safety stuff. Cage, fire system, kill switch, etc. Like, there's nothing that was different or exciting. You do have to have a window net, though, which some people like, some people don't. I thought this was interesting that surge tanks for the fuel system are okay. You can have a completely stock fuel system and have a surge tank, and that's fine. I guess lets you use all of your stock fuel capacity, but there is also other fuel max capacities related to your class and horsepower. Like, for example, doing the math in the Civic, it was 16.5 gallons is how much I would be allowed to have for that car.
Okay. So that's not making it so that you have some kind of limitations then.
Yes. Yes. That's different. Just throw a 22-gallon huge tank in and go for it.
So it requires some strategy. That is interesting. Right.
I think that's basically making sure people are going to end up having to pit, because the more power you have, the more fuel you're going to use and things like that. So, yeah. Overall rulebook didn't seem terribly different than what things we're used to, except for that, the fuel capacity stuff and the classing, but most of the rest of it seems similar.
Right. And some other stuff that you dug up here, you've got to have an annual tech form, and it feels like it says fill out a disclosure. So they're putting the onus of safety on the owners. If you're doing something stupid and you get injured, you're an idiot, kind of a deal. Self-gear tech, you fill out a form and get a sticker. Chrissy.
It said annual tech. Does that mean go somewhere and get the tech?
I imagine.
It's at the track, but it's only
Okay.
once a year. Like, you go through it in at your first
Interesting.
race, they put a
Okay,
sticker
great.
on the car, and that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, great.
Yeah. As Chris mentioned, starting Monday, you got to have Continental tires for the GP production classes, and you got to have the dyno resulting in the competition weight. And I imagine, because you do get impounded, if you are breaking those rules, you're going to get fussed up. It is, as you may have imagined, with that many marshals and a limited field, the entry fees are a lot more than anyone probably listening to this is used to. It starts at about $2,700, and depending on what class, up to $3,400 for the weekend. Then you've got your garages, $600, $800 at Road America. If you're camping, that's another $100. And if you're getting the HPDE second half of Friday, that's an extra $500. And they also require you to have a Flagtronic system, which you are seeing more and more of. And I think that is a reflection of the lack of trained corner workers. There's just no one creating corner workers anymore. If you notice any track that we go to that has good flagging, it's an older track where they've got this kind of dedicated, like New Hampshire always has good flaggers, and they always like to come out and do that sort of thing. But I've seen the Flagtronic system before. They run it at Thunderhill. It's not terrible. It requires a little bit of extrapolation. What's going on?
We tried one once on a testing
When
day at Lemons, and I wasn't thrilled with it.
But that was like early, like it was still
You have to,
like,
and
kind of
the
prototype.
operators have to know how to use it too. There has to be a Pagel-esque person in the control booth hitting the switches, and they've got to know how to do it and do it on time.
At one point, I had 2 of them in my hand because we were testing 2 different cars, and they had different layouts or readouts on the screen.
And it's significant.
That
'cause
made
it's like
me
yellow
consider
or
it being
green. You're
unreliable.
like,
right.
Mm.
but
anyway.
that's very different. So
The
but
last
hopefully
few
they've come
times,
a little further.
Champ Car runs Flagtronics, and I haven't had any issues with them. So,
But you haven't had 2 in your hands and realized that this one should be
No.
yellow and it's not yellow. So
but I at least on the track at the Ozarks, everybody was doing what my Flagtronics was indicating was the proper thing to do.
So if everybody's looking for the yellow because it says yellow, then I guess it's consistency. So whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's just another cross check. You hear the guy next to you accelerate, you look and make sure yours is actually green. Because if you've got that onboard camera, you're going to want to be able to defend that.
Yes. We've all had at least many moments of, I think it's green. Is it green? I think it's not yellow. Okay. I'm just going to keep driving fast because I'm pretty sure it's green. Oh no, there's the yellow.
Every driver's meeting
I'm passing everyone. This is amazing.
This is awesome. I'm the best racer ever.
But sometimes it happens if nobody's looking up. Then
yeah.
I will say this: if you're listening to this, I give this at every rookie and drivers meeting I've ever hosted in the 17-year history, actually 18-year history of Lemons. No one has ever won based on how fast they reacted to a yellow flag.
No, but
not
sometimes
one time, not once.
But it's that great opportunity to get around the person that you've been trying to for the last 10 laps.
Fair.
I know.
But you're not going to win. You're only.
I don't want to win. I just want to get around this one guy that's driving down the center of the track. Person, rather, might be
probably
a
Camaro or Firebird.
It might be. Okay, anyway, let's go on to drivers. No true novices allowed. Not really surprised. You probably shouldn't be a true novice getting in the car without a resume. And getting in some of these cars. Okay, so is somebody changing something here? Other real racers licenses are okay. Real racers with air quotes.
So that's like NASA, SCCA, Porsche, BMW Club.
Pardon me while I whip this out.
Right. If you have any of those actual competition licenses from any of those other series, you're fine.
Makes sense. HBD advanced or instructor is okay. Can submit a resume if at least 8 hours of seat time. That's a nice option. And you may need to start as provisional or probational until a incident-free race has been completed.
Yes.
Yep.
And you guys found some other cool stuff.
Yeah. So I started poking around their Facebook this evening as we were prepping for the show, and I found that they have a really well-produced live stream. So I'm interested to actually turn it on while Mental's there, because they go around, and the live stream had multiple camera angles. So basically, you could kind of see different parts of the track. And this one was at Barber, so I've been to Barber, so I can kind of picture what corner that is. And they have Barber. They had 4 different people in the commentary booth, so they were talking about all the different classes and passing, and this is how this is going, and these people are only seconds apart, and here's who's fighting for what. So it seemed pretty good. I was impressed. It was.
I'm now more intimidated that you're going to be watching the live stream because I've seen you watch the Eagles play. and like from the garage while the TV is turned up. It's gonna be a 4th and 2 on this one, and the Eagles are gonna go for. Oh, they're gonna go for it. I don't think they're gonna go for it. I think they're gonna screw it all up.
I don't sound like that at all. I mean, absolutely.
Chris is wisely silent on this matter.
People know they should not.
Let's just say that I will never sit with a cat on my lap during any football game.
Do not.
Because I know that I will be scarred if I do.
Do not. Yes. If you
cat
want
tries,
that
I'm
cat
like, no cat. Nope. You can't sit here.
Or small children. We're not allowed to watch games together. Because I'm just kidding. Anyway. No, but I'm interested to watch it. So I'm totally going to watch it just because then I'll be interested to hear what they have to say, just the cars that you're racing. And yeah, it'll just be good.
All right. Well, I will find that link. We will throw it into our socials. I will hopefully, if I'm not completely humiliating myself and embarrassing my questionable name anyway, be posting updates from the track. And if Chrissy's watching, she'll start asking questions. Hey, tell them about this. Tell them about this. Why are you so slow? So it should
go faster. Well, because then I can watch it on Race Hero and on the television at the same time.
And I want to be offended, but it's not like I didn't sit in the Middle East and do that to you guys.
You absolutely did this. Fortunately, it was all positive at the time. Not that you're even if it's not positive, I'm not going to tell you. No. It'll be fine. I'm just kidding. All right, Chris, what else did you find?
That on site they're going to have Continental Tire there. So if you only brought Toyos and say, oh no, we need some Continentals, they'll sell you some, or you can mount some up. Or if you didn't buy those rain tires, you decide you want those, they've got those there too. So it's just nice to have tire service there during the race. Driver's Eye Live, I think that's the live stream that Chrissy was talking about. I think there.
I think that
That's
is
what it
correct.
is.
Yep, they
They're
had the
gonna be
little
there.
logo at the top. Yep.
Yep. And they're going to have dyno on the go. So if you didn't get your car dynoed, or they think you're full
Wrong.
of it,
Cheater.
yep, they're going to give it a try. So you have all those things right there on site. That was interesting.
Indeed, it does.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how you
Yeah.
like it, Metzel, and how
Totally.
it compares to what you're used to, how it is, when you're going to be on track in even though it's a pretty heavily modified E36, how that compares to some of the slower Miatas, and also the little mini prototype things that are ridiculous.
NPO ones, yes.
Right. So how does that all play together? Nice. Are they really running good, clean, contact-free, non-douchebaggy racing or not? Things like that. Just to hear how you like Mid-Ohio after so long away.
Yeah. And just because we know Lemons doesn't run there, we're not going to do our full up turn by turn, but I will throw this up there. So there is your map of Mid-Ohio. It is right now listed as 13, and I am drawing a square, and we'll have a link to this track map. Turn 1, high speed, then you go up. I think they'll actually be running the keyhole, which is a bus stop right before you come into turn 2. And then the high speed, the rolling start line, all of this. If you've watched, because they do run IndyCar there, they run IMSA, all of these. You go screaming all the way down there. And I have found the top speed of an NC Miata on that straightaway. Betty scared the crap out of me a few times with what she was capable of on that long straightaway. It's like the back half of Road Atlanta. Turn 4 goes down, and then back up into turn 5 is what they call that one madness. And then you get into the S's. Turn 9 actually is an over and down into. So it's you actually, to do it properly, you just accept a loss of traction as you crest that hill coming out of there into 10, 12, and 13, which sets you up for an entry into the pits. And it is like we've talked about this before. Mid-Ohio has the feel of an old track.
3 miles-ish, I think.
3 miles-ish, okay.
Yeah. It feels like VIR, but uniquely its own. It feels like Road Atlanta. It feels like Daytona. These places that just have this, was not designed on computer, kind of just way about them. It's it is a fun place.
Started as a dirt road, and then somebody added some gravel, and
yeah, people tearing through there. We'll figure it out. Go ahead. In the 60s, when they were just trying to build race courses because they quit racing in towns, this is one of the places that endured after that. So
people rave on this track. I'm really interested to see if you think, especially since you've driven in most of the tracks in the United States, where how you really feel when you get there again. I mean,
I've always enjoyed it. It's
fun in iRacing. Not
it
that
is,
that means
and
much in real life, but
like what we talked about Laguna. You can enjoy it right away, and then you could spend the next 10 years trying to get the nuances of 2 or 3 of the corners are at Laguna. Yeah. And, same thing with Road Atlanta and all of these kinds of tracks.
Cool.
Yeah. But haven't done it since the repave. And yeah, I have traveled a little bit. So yeah, maybe I hate it, but I doubt it. It's not like it's English Town.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? No, there's other things to hate, and I'm sure this isn't one of them.
Cool.
Great.
So, Chrissy, do you have a safety topic for us this week?
I do, unless somebody else has something that they'd rather share.
So that means it's time for
just
the
Yep. All right. So as we've reviewed, I have a safety topic for the week at work because I write the safety topics. And this one is a rationalizing unsafe safety choices. And it's funny how I feel like there's a human element, and maybe it's just me, about choosing some. Well, I guess if it's me, there's often times where I'm thinking about what other people are looking at me because I'm the safety person at work and people are expecting certain things of me. But I think there's plenty of things where you're just thinking like, well, I could probably get hurt about this, but what do you do about it? And how do you just rationalize it? And of course, everything includes risk. There's a risk in everything that we do. But how do you rationalize what you are going to choose to do in a certain situation? How much risk are you willing to take? And some people that don't know our racing, I would say, probably think that we are more of a risk taker because of that. And then I try to convince people that it's safer than driving on most highways because of many reasons of not being distracted and what have you. But the funny part of this story is that it is we were having this topic of this week, and my maintenance crew were moving some desks, and there was they had a dolly out, and we had to wheel the dolly back to the maintenance cage. And I joked, and I was like, can I ride on that? And then my one maintenance guy was like, aren't we talking about rationalizing unsafe choices this week? And I was like, touche. So I wasn't actually going to ride on the dolly. I just thought it was funny because we had to wheel an empty dolly back. And this one was one of them that you move like filing cabinet. So it had a seatbelt on it, right? Like, so when you but no, you.
Oh, so you could totally Hannibal Lecter that.
I know. And then I was like, so my maintenance supervisor is moving it. And he was like, well, at least it has a seatbelt. And I was like, I'm tempted to do this. I didn't, and that's fine. But we did have a good laugh. So I dare you to think about your own safety choices and thinking about not only is what are people watching you. And I probably want to say that we don't have children, but there are probably plenty of parents that are thinking about doing something, and then you say, well, there's people watching me. It might be a small child that's going to be learning from me, so maybe I should not choose the most dangerous option, or at least if it is visually not safe, looks like it's not going to be a safe option, maybe we should choose something differently. So I challenge you to think about it in your daily life, and think about if you make some if you rationalize unsafe choices. Let us know, because I'm interested to hear what your normalized unsafe choices are.
That's an excellent topic. Yeah.
Thanks.
That's a big thing in aviation.
I'm sure it is. And manufacturing. If people listen to what I say.
I'm sure. They'd start, I could ride the forklift or the dolly and be Hannibal Lecter.
I mean,
that's really that'd be cool.
It's a great idea. But it was very topical when somebody pointed out that was the week's. That means they were listening, which makes me happy
if they're calling you out, then
no, I was happy to hear it. That was great.
Yeah, your work is done. I mean,
it's not,
reaching
because
them.
There's always tomorrow and somebody could get hurt. So let's not do that. But at least nobody should be riding on dollies. That like breaks so many rules. Like a horseplay is one of our rules. And I'm like, this just is.
How often do you have horses to play with, though?
Not in my manufacturing plant that cares about fun.
Where does horse come from?
Who cares? Woohoo! It's party time with the horse.
Oh goodness.
Yep.
Anyway, let's talk about next week.
Yeah, do we know what we're doing next week?
Did I talk you into it?
I don't. It depends on the schedule. Maybe we'll float it.
We're gonna try for it. How about that? Even if it's short, we'll try for it.
All right. Watch our socials, because we're all going to be in the same zip code. In fact, we're all going to be at the same address. And what that means is not only are we doing our patently powerful, sponsored by Pimani's Pit Race preview, we are going to be doing it live from the CNC Mayhem Factory. So you can click on the YouTube link and you can comment and mock us while we're doing it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Depends on how well everything's coming together at that point.
Yes.
And
yes.
Car's still in the trailer. I don't even know if it runs.
I haven't even started packing the pit yet. So we have some work to do. Okay, but we're going to be talking the pre-race for pit. Can you please sign up for the potluck, especially if you are, first of all, if you're going to be around. Second of all, if you're going to eat there, please bring something. If you can let me know that you're going to bring something.
The potluck, not a catered meal. Remember?
Yes, correct. That's awesome. So it makes me feel better if I know what that food might be brought.
And
And
what night is the potluck on? Because this one's a
Saturday.
little different. Is
Oh,
it
why?
Saturday?
It's
Okay.
usually Saturday.
It's usually
All right.
Saturday. I only switch it
I
up.
thought I
when-
got an email from Nick today that said Friday night.
Saturday.
But okay, Saturday. Saturday.
Yes, it's on Saturday. It's usually on Saturday
Saturday!
unless the track day is very long and then I have to convince people to change it. So, and then please bring food, not desserts. This last race at Pitt was awesome, but we had 2 solid 6-foot tables of desserts only. We had like a couple salads and that's it. So it's fine, except for you eat the couple salads that I brought and then you are eating pie. So, and not everybody's cool with that. Just bring some food, please. Please. Thank you.
All I want is pie and salad.
Well, people took home 4 to 6 Costco pies last time. So they took them home. Not even like they just were like, well, if you're not going to eat these, I'm going to take these 6 pies. And like, fine, but
Yeah, pretty
just
much.
bring
So
some food.
40% salad, 80% pie.
That's exactly what happened. Thank you. Come to the potluck, please.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, well, thanks for downloading us. Hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. Hope you can join us in the world of driving, building, racing, and baking pies, because everyone can bring food to a potluck, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us that 5-star rating. Don't care what you thought, 5 stars, and tell us why. Questions, thoughts, show ideas, comments, looking for a friend, whatever. You could find us on any of the various social media places as Everyone Racers or everyone.racers@gmail.com, or text mental pictures of your junk at 484-243-0455, especially in the middle of the night. Junk pictures are always the best. So thanks again, everyone. And until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless you're going to Mid-Ohio and you're just looking at the new pavement, then especially keep the wheels down.